We're honored to be joined now by Texas Republican Governor Rick Perry, who joins us here at Post 9. Governor, it's great to see you. Good morning.
Thank you. Yes,
you know,
sir.
You've been a top state 3 times, never lower than number 2. How do you like your chances this year?
Well, my friend Rick Scott reminds me that number 2 is a good spot for Texas. I tell him that it's good to have a competitor like him that continues to push us. So when you're surrounded by Bobby Jindal and Susana Martinez and Mary Fallin and these governors that really put good pro-business policies into place, it makes you get up every day and work harder. So we don't take any time off. I think our legislature works on a regular basis to put those tax and regulatory legal policies in place. Our skill work is one of the best in the country. I think we're now up to the 2nd highest graduation rates in America out of high school. So those are all indicators headed in the right direction, but we know that every day is a new day, and we have to be more competitive. I wish Washington had that same understanding about competitiveness and let the states free them up from this one-size-fits-all, whether it's health care, transportation, infrastructure, or education policies that they try to push down upon the states, and allow these states to really compete against each other. Because, I mean, the New York campaign, I will suggest to you, is because Rick Scott and Rick Perry et al. Have come up here to promote and get people to move their businesses.
You keep coming to New York, though. I mean, Andrew Cuomo's seen enough of you, I think.
Well, the fact is we need to have a good, thoughtful, winsome conversation about policies. I would love to have a debate with Governor Cuomo on the issue of hydraulic fracturing. When you look at southern New York and you see the really dire economics of that region, and I could show him very clearly where that if he had the courage to put these types of policies into place, that blue-collar individuals could be working and having great jobs and an extraordinary opportunity for them to take care of their families. That's exactly what happened in South Texas when the Eagle Ford came online, and we see kids that maybe didn't have a job 5 years ago driving a truck, making $100,000, living in a new 3-bedroom, 2-bath, driving a brand-new pickup truck and talking about where they're going to send their kids to college. That's an awesome story that needs to be told all across this country, and the president's policies are keeping that from happening with not opening the XL pipeline.
You're zeroing on the energy problem, or the pipeline. Clearly, your policies for energy in Texas are business-friendly, but are they environmentally friendly?
Well, let me give you an example. In the decade that we just finished up, the nitrous oxide levels, which NOx, real pollutants, down by over 60% in Texas. Ozone down by 23% during that decade. At the same time, the state grew by 5 million people and created almost 1/3 of the jobs, a little less than 30% of all the jobs in America during that period of time. That is a model for this country. You can safely, environmentally soundly produce these resources, and this natural gas, I will suggest to you, is the fuel that's going to drive the world in the future. Matter of fact, we'd love to see that LNG going into the European Union. My bet is that would be a pretty powerful message to Mr. Putin.
On the subject of natural gas being the future, as you put it, why don't you call the Democrats bluff? Why don't you say to them, okay, we will support greater controls on coal moving forward, we will support greater controls on automotives moving forward in exchange for the Keystone Pipeline, which is really a rounding error in the emissions of this country?
Well, the fact is, innovation is what's driven this country from its inception. When you think about the revolutions that have occurred in the world, generally speaking, they have been associated with the United States. On the energy side in particular, I happen to think that the coal industry, they can find the ways to use coal and to use it in a environmentally safer way than what they have historically. And if you give that type of innovation, the idea that this administration is in an absolute war against coal, killing some of those states' economies, like West Virginia. That's just unacceptable. When you look at Kentucky and eastern
Kentucky, would say, excuse me for interrupting you, but I think they would say that we don't have that technology for clean coal.
But we didn't have
so we've got to get the technology in first.
I know, but these are the same people that said we had peaked out with energy production 6 years ago. George Mitchell proved them all wrong. when you think about allow our universities and the private sector to work together in partnerships to find the innovations that can change the world. When you think about energy, you think about oil and gas. Well, the #1 wind energy producing state in the nation, matter of fact, produces more wind energy than all but 4 other countries, is my home state of Texas. That's the type of innovation and the flexibility. And when you look at what we've done on the environmental side to drive down those emissions, there's a model for this country. Let's take a look at that instead of this steel hammer of regulation that comes out of the EPA and this administration that is killing jobs, not just in southern New York.
Well, although Governor Cuomo has not yet made a decision, I don't believe, on fracking. I mean, it's still out there. There's been no decision made.
But let's make a decision. I mean, that's the point. Not making a decision is making a decision.
You know, Governor, education is proving, of course, an important issue in the election for your successor. And your critics would say, yes, incredibly low tax rates, but you are underfunding education in the state of
not
Texas.
at all.
43rd in graduation rate, 50th in adults.
Wrong numbers.
46th
in the nation.
49th in teacher pay.
I'm not going to let you
put the numbers here.
I'm telling you, whoever gave you the numbers are wrong,
That's
brother.
actually from...
I'm telling you, second in the nation in graduation rates is where Texas is today. Over 100.
How are we measuring that?
By the number of kids that start the 4th grade and then they finish in 4 years. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We're second in the nation. Those are new numbers. The issue is over 100% increase in Hispanic participation in higher education. Over a 200% increase in Hispanic graduation rates. Our National Assessment of Education Progress, we're seeing those on an upward track. 4th and 8th grade Hispanic and African American test scores, some of the highest in America.
So you think you spend on education in the state of Texas?
We are getting a good result out of our expenditures. The idea that those that say, if you'll spend more money, that's how you judge it, I would suggest to you, look at California, look at New York, look at Illinois.
Are you going to steal the Sriracha factory from California?
We're going to give certainly the opportunity to come somewhere where they're free from overtaxation, overregulation. You know, Oxy moved their headquarters about 60 days ago to the Houston area. The Toyota story, certainly a big one. Every iBook Pro,
Mac production?
MacBook Pro is made in Austin, Texas, and you know, that's the type of competition. People just need to understand that there are places they can come, that there are environments where that they can keep more of what they work for, and their families can have a greater opportunity.
Governor, we're running out of time. I just want to ask you specifically, I mean, many people would obviously like you to make a run towards 2016, but equally they're very worried about this grand jury investigation you have, which I think resumes on Friday. Very, very unusual that by withholding money, $7.5 million as governor, to a unit because its district attorney refused to resign for a drunk driving charge, you were in some way coercing the democratic process. Some would say a storm in a teacup, but it could have very serious consequences for whether you run or not, say others. I mean, what can you tell us about that?
What I tell you is that the authority that a governor has to veto a line item has been in place forever. If the idea is that you can say, well, you cannot veto a line item because someone would think that's bribery, is just on its
coercion,
face.
I think, is the...
I happen to think that it's very clear the authority that a governor has in the state of Texas to line item veto state money going to whether it's any other place. The governor has the right to do that, and that's exactly what we did. We used that veto authority and I think in a very appropriate way, and a constitutional and statutory way.
Finally, I don't know if you heard, Chipotle's making, the restaurant chain Chipotle is making some news today saying that guns are not welcome in the restaurant, something Starbucks has said. You got a problem with that?
People get to make decisions about where they shop every day, and if you want to do that in New York or Texas, that's your call, and then people will decide where they're going to shop.
You think they'll be punished by consumers?
We'll see.
Have you made up your mind about 2016?
I have not.
No update.
No update.
Governor, enjoy your time down here on the floor.
You're welcome.
You'll be a big hit. I'm pretty sure.
See you in November.
Yes, sir.
Governor Rick Perry of Texas.